Welcome to the Rethink and Return podcast. My name is Jason Shepard. Every week, we rethink things and return to God's original intention and His design. We generally do 2 recordings a week. One, we revisit a passage of Scripture that thousands of people are studying together in a Sunday gathering or in a house church, and we're just going to dig more deeply into these things that we didn't get to talk about enough or want to talk about more that we're wrestling with. And then we do another recording where we're just working out leadership things, being a pastor and ministry or leading stuff, and wrestling with tensions of how we live like that in our world today. So we'd love for you to like this, subscribe to it, share it with other people. Enjoy the podcast. We'll see you soon. Hey, thanks for joining the Rethink and Return podcast. My name's Jason Shepard, and I love doing these every week, but never more than right now, never more than today, because, dude, my man Joby Martin is in town, in H-Town, in Houston town. Thanks for hanging out, Joby.
It's freezing here.
It's cold, man. It's never this cold.
Well, it is today.
You brought, I think you usually bring the heat, but you didn't bring the heat with you this time, man.
It's all gone, man. It's freezing.
Man, it is another Arctic front. I mean, I've lived in Texas all my life, except for 2 years when I was exiled to Arkansas. But, I mean, Texas doesn't ever get this cold, especially here in the South in Houston. So here we are, man. I think you were standing on some oil derrick today on a shrimp boat and stuff like that.
Yeah, I was recording some Bible study stuff for Right Now Media. We were on the beach this morning, and then a shrimp boat, and then an oil rig.
Man, well, that's a cold day to do it. I mean, when you're watching this, it'll be a different time. But today, right now, it's like in the 20s in Houston, which for us is like -0 other places.
It's terrible.
Well, man, we just started this podcast a few weeks ago, but I have some cool friends. And when they're in town, I'd love for them to hang out. Brian Howard was here a few days ago.
He's the best.
He's super smart, and I'm just glad he hung out with me. And you, dude, I love what God's doing in your life. And through your life, it's an encouragement to me. I told you the other night at dinner that, man, we need some people in front of us that are really pushing, the word unapologetically, the scriptures, and you're doing that in a big way. And I'm glad you're out there doing that. And I'm a fan, and I'm encouraged, I'm challenged. So thank you.
Well, I appreciate you saying that, but I don't know if I'm in front of anybody. I'm just kind of doing my thing, and you're doing your thing, and we're all kind of doing it together.
Well, I do love that. And I didn't mean that. You equalize yourself, and you are. But, I mean, you're leading some stuff for me that I think is really important. Here's what I love. You and I have different approaches to the way we do church. Mm-hmm. I couldn't respect you more because preach the word unashamedly. You share the gospel clearly. But we do church differently, but I still got a ton of respect for you. I feel like right now in the world, there's not a lot of that happening. And if somebody's different than you, I mean, I get beat up for doing things different than people. Maybe you do too. Why do you think it's hard for people to respect each other if they approach things differently? I mean, we got the same gospel, same scripture, same spirit.
Yeah.
I mean, you're going after that hard. I am too. So I respect and love you. Why is there so much division?
I mean, it's just ego and insecurity, which are just, different sides of the same coin, man. And it's too much of me, not enough of Jesus. That is the root of all of that. I mean, we have an accuser of the brethren, so we don't need any more of those. Although you can make a lot of podcasts about just accusing what everybody else is doing wrong. I mean, that is basically what Twitter in Greek means now, right? Good gosh.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I think that's what it is. People that are insecure. And it takes almost no effort to tear other things down. It takes a crap ton of effort to build anything. I mean, you got the man in the arena quote right there. Totally. That is it. It is not the critic who counts, bro. And so there's just a bunch of people that are critics and cynics and tear people down. And I mean, you just take like the book of Philippians. Look how much Paul builds up Timothy, builds up Epaphroditus. I mean, he's just building up the Philippians. It's all encouragement. I want to put some courage in you. And so, because I would ask you the same thing, man. You're the dude. You're the smartest guy in the room all the time.
If I'm alone in a room.
Yeah, shut up. And so, but anytime I'm with you, it's nothing but humility because you're right. You have done church in a completely different way, and God is blessing it like crazy. And I think part of the one of the reasons me and you get along, I think we get along if we were both truck drivers, so that's part of it.
I may be one day.
Yeah, I'm about 3 decisions away from hanging drywall.
Right?
So
some days I dream about it.
Yeah, no doubt. But you've never come in and be like, even though you have great convictions about church project, and this is the way you guys have been led to do it, but you don't do this is the way, and if you don't do it my way, something's wrong with you. Yeah. And I think that's core. I was discipled or mentored by Doug Fields, the old youth pastor at Saddleback. Now he's at Mariners, kind of the pope of student ministry.
Yeah, he is. He's awesome.
And he was famous for, when he was doing purpose-driven youth ministry, he was famous for saying, I'm not telling you this is the way to do it, it's just a way to do it. I think that got on me a little bit. And so, man, we do what we do at 1122 in Jacksonville, and if you don't like it, I don't care. Don't come to church. Honestly, we didn't build our church for a bunch of other pastors.
Yeah.
We built our church to reach lost people and glorify God. So
yeah, I love it.
And I don't know. I'm secure in my skin. Obviously, you are too. I think that's probably why we get along so well.
I think, some people mistake confidence for arrogance, even down to ecclesiology, if you will. But I have convictions. I mean, I'm doing it the way I do it because I'm convicted about it. If I was convicted about something else, I'd do it a different way. But, man, I have had the mess beat out of me over the years, and I felt pretty alone, by the church world, by leaders in the church. And I hate it, man. And so I don't want to do that either. I do have a lot of convictions. But I think people are putting ecclesiology or approach, which is very important to me, above even the gospel. And for me, if you're preaching the gospel and you're teaching the scriptures and the lordship of Jesus Christ, grace alone, faith alone, Christ alone, we're going to be in heaven for eternity, and we should be able to have lunch together here. So that's how I'm looking.
Yeah, and partner together and cheer each other on and encourage one another. I want to be a part. I mean, maybe me and you can help start doing this. I want to be a big tent guy. Look, man, we're both Acts 29. It's a pretty narrow group. It really is. Theologically, we've got some serious convictions.
Yeah.
And yet, we want to be partners with any and every church that loves Jesus, loves the Bible, takes missions, evangelism seriously, that believes in the scriptures. Then we just partner with those folks and say, let's go.
Yeah, I agree with you. Like, I like having a brotherhood in Acts 29 of some guys that I'm like, what's kept me in it really is I got some guys who love me and I love, and we do. I need a small tribe of people who we're aligned on stuff, but that's not all who I want to do kingdom work with.
Yeah.
I want to do it with them and beyond. So I don't know what that looks like. But
well, we're both a part of Exponential and all that stuff too, which is a huge tent. It's almost like if you own a Bible, you can be in there. I mean, good gosh. So that's a little bit of everybody, but I like it. And the guys that run that are great, and they're just trying to reach people with the gospel too.
Yeah, I love those guys. They're good friends. I know you'll be there soon, so will I. Man, what do you say to dudes who are, I spend a lot of time with the small church guy, medium church guy, and I know you're with pastors all the time. I see a lot of discouragement out there in the world. I mean, I never thought I'd pastor a large church. I started something with the name Church Project. That's not going to attract people. A church, a house church, that doesn't attract people. Little bitty warehouse, plastic chairs, no phone number. Like, I didn't think we'd be a big church. I don't know if you thought that either. I think you didn't. But so I had to reconcile for a long time. Do I have value in the kingdom? Is God using me? Am I stewarding my life well if I only have 40 people, 100 people, 400 people in my church? And I think a lot of young guys or guys who their church hasn't gotten big and never will, they really struggle. What do you tell some guys who, maybe they compare themselves to other people? I used to do that a lot. Now I do it a little bit. But frankly, I don't know if the Spirit of God sanctified it in me, or we just got so big, there's not too many more big people to compare ourselves to. When we're smaller, it's everybody. So I don't know if God got victory in my heart over that or what, but I don't struggle with it as much anymore. How do you help guys? What would you say to a young dude who's like, man, I've been serving Jesus and I just don't feel like this is going anywhere?
Well, first of all, comparison is always a lose-lose proposition because you compare what you don't know about other people to what you do know about yourself. And you're always comparing your B-roll to everybody else's highlight reel. And so if they compare themselves to the church project, all they're ever looking at is the parking lot and the stage. They don't look through all the years of pain that you went through to get to here. Be very, very careful what you ask for, man.
Yeah.
Because I am no more at peace based on the number of people that attend my church now versus 10 years. I still have a gospel ambition. There's never once I'll be like, oh, we made it. Do you ever feel like that?
No.
All right. So I don't feel any less angst than you feel, regardless of if your church is 250. But comparison will kill you. Because comparison is an affront against God. Comparison's like, God, you didn't get this right. You gave him too much and me not enough. The parable of the talents has informed me a lot with this. The one talent guy's just full of fear, so he's wicked and slothful. He's worthless. I think the real hero might be the 2 talent guy because he spends 0 time comparing to the 1 or 5. A part of the reason comparing is losing because it'll only lead to pride or despair, and neither of those are of the gospel.
That's right.
And the 2 talent guy and the 5 talent guy get the exact same reward. Well done, good and faithful servant. but he doesn't say, well done, good and fruitful servant.
Yeah, that's right.
So the fruit's up to the Lord, man. And listen, so you could have looked at my ministry, whatever, X amount of years ago and be like, well, you must be a failure because you're a grown man and you're only a youth pastor and you talk to a couple hundred high school kids. You really think that's making a difference?
Yeah, right.
I thought I was winning the Super Bowl, man. I thought, who else? Why would you waste your time on old people?
That's right.
Because everybody gets saved under 18, so let me spend time talking to these kids. And I never tried to be anything. I just tried to be faithful.
Right.
Was what was right in front of me, and God just kept expanding my opportunities.
Yeah.
And then my pastor told me, I think you should plant a church. And so I did. And then God blew it up. Okay, cool. So now we're trying to plant churches out of it. And I still do the same thing, man.
Yeah, right.
Every single week, I just prepare a message and lead a team. And, you know, it used to be a little bit smaller. Now it has a bigger impact. But it's still the same thing. Right. And again, I don't lay in my bed and think, "Whoo, I'm a large church pastor." It never crosses my mind.
Same.
I just think I got a lot to do.
Yeah.
I mean, I was telling my buddy Trey over here, this week I'll preach 12 times in 6 days. Be careful what you ask for.
Right.
Be careful. You sure you want to do that?
That's
you know?
right.
So.
And the breaking that God's done in me over and over and over to entrust more to me. I think he who's faithful with little will be faithful in much.
No doubt.
But so faithfulness is it. But also, I think the more God's going to entrust you, the more He's going to break you. And that's been true for me. I mean, He's had to just keep breaking pride out of me and ambition out of me. Yeah, I even told Brooke, my wife, this week. I just told her, I said, I'm feeling more angst than I've felt in years. And she said, why? Everything's great. I mean, a lot of people coming.
I do too.
You know, like everything that we're hoping is healthy. And I'm like, but there are cities that need church projects. There are people in our city who aren't being discipled somewhere. Like I just have more angst than I've ever had. And I'm not satisfied at all. So
see, I feel really great during COVID.
How do you mean? Why?
Because people needed leaders because nobody knew what to do.
Yeah.
And so leadership is simple when times are chaotic. I'm not saying it's easy. It's hard. None of us knew what to do.
Yeah.
Like, do you close down? Do you not? How long? Do you mask? Do you not? What, do you address this? Do you not? It was freaking chaotic every single week. And that means every single week I had to be clear. I had to be first. I had to make decisions.
That's good.
That we had people without a shepherd. It's how our online ministry started. It's how our 1122 outpost started. Like there were new ministries that started out of that. Okay.
Nice.
And then we live in Florida. So COVID lasted about 6 weeks for us. And then we were like, we're not doing this anymore. So, but for the last couple of years, man, it's been kind of nice, right? Everything's kind of comfortable.
Right.
And dude, I've got a staff talk coming to my staff and they don't know it's coming because they're just kind of coasting because, you know, when everything's going good, who needs a leader?
Yeah.
And you can get, You're very susceptible, man, to comfort, to complacency.
Yeah.
You're susceptible to overhiring, to overcomplicating.
Right.
You get very comfortable with who's here instead of who's there. You like those 99 sheep. You love those 99 sheep. Those 99 sheep will get you articles in Outreach Magazine, and everybody tells you how great you are, and you can forget about the one and completely miss the mission of Jesus because he's like, peace out, 99.
Yeah.
And so, I've never thrived on church folk. The people in the room, I love them. I want to disciple them so that they'll reach people. If you just do a quick gospel overview of Christ's relationship with the disciples, and in very two general categories, they're doing good and they're not doing good. When they got focused on them, Jesus was like, what is wrong with you?
That's right, yeah. Who's going to sit next to you?
Bro, Matthew 20. They're like, what are you even talking about?
Yeah.
Or when Peter at Caesarea Philippi is like, nobody's going to kill you. And he's like, all right, you're on the devil's team now.
That's right.
They got high fives from Jesus when they were a conduit of the gospel, when they were disciples that made disciples.
Yeah.
And so the church, God uses people like me and you in the church, starting with our teams, to make sure the spiritual intensity is cranked up so that we don't take our eye off the prize.
That's right. I mean, I do think part of my job is to be a disruptor, even in the church world, and especially with individuals in our church. I had coffee with somebody from our church today who's a new believer, came out of a very different lifestyle, and she's like, you make me mad every Sunday.
You're welcome.
She's like, she's like, actually, I figured out at some point I loved it because I had to wrestle with, do I believe this or not? Am I living it or not? But yeah, when I was a youth pastor, this is how cool I was. I put up on the wall, discipling to evangelize. I'm like, and I mean, I didn't know any better. It was dumb, but that was my point then. It's still our point now. Like Jesus said, follow me and I will make you into fishers of men. And I just wonder how many Christians are following Jesus if they're not fishing for men. And I think we have some incomplete discipleship in a ton of churches. Sure.
I mean, can you be a disciple if you hadn't made one?
Well,
if the Great Commission is make disciples?
Totally.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, the call at the lake and the Great Commission before it, that's why we did Good God Gospel here, right? I'm like, I got to get our people thinking, and now they are, which is cool. But I'm more angsty than ever. What would get you out of the game? Could anything at this point? I've almost quit a couple times. Oh, yeah. I don't think now. I think now, man. I mean, I want to say I fought the big fights. I hope I don't have to fight one that made me go. And I thought I couldn't stay. I wasn't willing to give what it was taken from me. But there's some people here. I mean, we're in the age now where pastors are dropping like flies, man. And I think churches are lacking some really good leaders because some people quit prematurely.
And what's sad is we know those guys. Like 15 years ago when you would hear so-and-so fell out, it might as well have been Chewbacca or Elvis. I didn't know those people. I'd heard of them. But now every time it's one of those famous guys, me and you have been in a green room with them or hung out with them or had coffee with them, right?
It's sad, man.
It's very sad.
It's sad. And I mean, I think the kingdom is losing some great, leaders that God, from the time they were young, God called them and prepared them and cultivated them. And so now we're having people have to step into leadership voids in churches who aren't as prepared yet, and maybe not as gifted. What's going on out here, and what do we do about it?
Here's what's going on. I know exactly what happens every single time. Is that some dude gets tempted by the world, takes his eyes off Christ. Very easy for us to do, right? Because we're prone to wonder. And he begins down a path, and the Spirit of God taps him on the shoulder and goes, whoa, 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 whoa. And that brother goes, get off me, I got this.
Yeah.
Everything else is details. That's why Martin Luther said the life of the Christian is that of daily repentance. So every single time the Spirit of God goes, hey, you better go. Okay, I need help.
Yeah.
Now, I don't have Bible verses for this, but a few commonalities I see in these guys that blow up big and then flame out. Oftentimes, they don't have local elders, regardless of what you call it in your ecclesiology. I don't care what you call it, but listen, man, I could put a board together of all my big church friends, and they could tell me how great I am.
That's right.
They don't hear my tone of voice towards my wife and kids. You need some local men. Mm-hmm. Also, my 2 cents, the word elder, before it was ever even used in the church, it just meant the oldest guy in town. Like he just had elded some stuff.
Yeah.
So that 20-year-old riding around on the bicycle with the tie and the short sleeves, he's not an elder, man.
No.
He's never elded anything.
Even if he meets all the qualifications, right?
Qualification is old. All right, so you need some old dudes that can tell that are local, that are not, they love you, they're for you.
That's right.
They take care of you and your family, and they're praying for you, and they're standing in the gap to hold their shields of faith together to intercept the flaming darts of the enemy on your behalf for the sake of the gospel. And they look at you and be like, don't be silly.
Yeah.
Don't say that again.
Yeah.
Hey, watch your tone towards your wife. Go home.
Yeah.
Okay?
That's good.
So they need some local elders. A lot of these guys don't have real friends. Mm-hmm. Like, if you haven't been the butt of a joke lately, there's a real problem, man.
Yeah, I agree.
If every time you walk in the room, people only call you pastor as if it's a first name, that's a problem, dude. Somebody needs to make fun of you.
Totally.
When you say something dumb, somebody needs to laugh and put you on a group text that is embarrassing. Like, do you have real friends, that don't work for you?
Yeah, why do you guys not have real friends like that?
What do you mean you got? Why do guys in general?
Why do they not?
A lot of pastors just surround themselves, they insulate themselves, and that's what happens. And a lot of times we just settle for buddies, man. We settle for buddies, like drinking buddies or golf buddies or hunting buddies, poker buddies. Yeah. Buddies are all right, but you need a band of brothers because this thing is a war.
I do.
So I got a group of guys. I call them my mat carriers from Mark chapter 2, the paralyzed guy on the mat, and he needed 4 dudes to tote him to Jesus. Well, I'm a little bit bigger, so I got to have 8. So I got 8 guys. And here's the thing. When you think a man might be that guy for you, I would encourage you to deputize him. Go ahead and tell him, I need you
That's cool.
to be a foxhole guy, a mat carrier, And if you see me out of line, I'm asking you to point that out.
These on your elders, these are outside of that?
No, these are not elders. This is a different, one of them's an elder, but these are like, one guy's my brother, a couple of guys I work with, some guys I don't. These are just guys that are in my life.
Yeah.
And I tell them, I want you to care more about me than what I think about you. And so I'm asking you, if you see me out of line,
that's good.
Say something. Now, the worst thing you can do, here's what I see men do all the time. I'll be like, all right, Jason, I want you to be, this guy in my life, da-da-da-da. And then the first time you bring something to me, the dumbest thing I can do is then stiff arm it.
Yeah.
You idiot. The guy's he's like, I didn't sign up for this anyway,
That's
man.
That's right. I was invited but rejected, yeah.
Yeah, I'm not looking to have confrontation.
Totally.
Okay.
Got enough of that.
So you got to have local elders. Pastors need to have local elders that could say no. You got to have some actual friends in your life. I think if you're a man in leadership, you need a real hobby. You got to have something that it's better if it's life-giving, that just gives you that little zinger.
Yeah.
Because the adrenaline boost here is a thing.
Yeah.
And it could be done. It could be hunting. So it could, I don't know, whatever, man. Painting. I don't know. Find your thing. Whatever your thing is.
Ceramics.
I met a dude with this right now media thing, and he's into Legos. Like he builds, and I'm like, neat. Whatever that thing is that you think.
Good for you.
I can't wait to get off to work.
Yeah.
So for me, it's hunting. I hunt all over the place, and so I like it all. I like filling the feeders and hanging the stands and shooting the deer. I like it all, but I don't think about church when I'm out there.
Yeah.
The guy that makes me nervous is the first question I'll often ask is, all right, dude, what do you do for fun?
You've asked me that.
And when somebody says church or family, I'm like, you're screwed, man.
Well,
now, you can enjoy your family
course,
for sure, but you can't opt out. That's not fun. That's not like you don't get to volunteer there. You know what I mean? And so I would highly encourage you to find something. Now, if you're a grown man, if you're married with kids, you get one hobby. Choose wisely. You don't get 10 things.
Yeah, that's true.
So you can't be a great hunter and a good golfer. So you get to pick.
Yeah.
Because, you got to take care of your family, love your wife, be with your kids, for sure. But there ought to be some things. I think if men would add those 3 things into their life,
that's good.
It would help a lot.
That's really good. No, I agree. I hate seeing it, man. I mean, even just from discouragement to adultery to whatever. I wrote a thing down not long ago because I was trying to think about this, like how good guys, I think I wrote appreciation turns into admiration, admiration turns into affection, and then, I forgot the other A I had. It was really good. I'll pull it up later. But attraction, admiration affection turns to attraction. And I'm like, if you don't have somebody in your life who can see that or interrupt that, I've had some good friends who went from just appreciation to admiration to affection and then attraction. And then,
everybody needs to be very aware of how the enemy might take them out. Like if you were the enemy, how would you take you out? You need to go to war against that. Yeah, and I'm a Pharisee in those areas.
That's good, man. And
then also learn from everybody else's history. So in our seats, it's been monies and honeys for most of them.
Yeah.
Well, dude, I've got so many guardrails and I'd really, which helps, dude. It helps. Like, I don't spend $1 without my elders knowing. I don't make any kind of significant financial decision. They get my tax returns. They set my pay. If I make money outside of the church, they know it all. They just know it all.
Yeah.
And it's just one less thing I have to worry about. And then I get it. There's been a lot of people throwing shade on the Billy Graham rule. Neat. Y'all be mad about it. Call it toxic. Guess who loves it? My wife.
Exactly.
Guess who else loves it? Everybody else that has a wife that works at my church.
Yeah.
They love it. They love it that I won't meet alone with all that stuff. And if you don't like it, neat. We live in a sinful world.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, you flirt with it. Go ahead. You do that.
It's not worth it.
And they're like, well, that's not normal. Cool. You know what normal is? That's broke, depressed, divorced. You can have normal. I don't want normal.
That's right.
I want Gretchen.
That's good.
And so I'm a Pharisee. Now, I might kill a guy at a Jags game one year. So just if that's in the news, it's probably not fake news.
I can see that happening.
So I've got to watch the kind of so the 2 biggies that the enemy has used to take out, that full frontal assault, that's usually kind of easy to take on because you can like, all right, and people warned me early, like mentors and pastors warned me about monies and honeys. And so that's very helpful. Yeah. But, things like pride, entitlement, things like that. That's what I got to watch out for.
Yeah, that's good.
I work really, really hard, and I hate entitlement. And then what I've found the enemy do in my life, I love gratitude. Man, the person that works on our team that is just thankful to be there, that's my favorite person.
Yeah, right.
then what begins to happen in me is I'm like, you don't even know what you have. And I begin to feel entitled to their gratitude. And that's the enemy, like being tricky with me, man.
Yeah.
And so I've got to pay attention to that stuff.
Man, I mean, I have found that doing this, I mean, I'm sure leadership is sanctifying, but pastoral leadership is so sanctifying. I talked about the sanctification of leadership in the first one of these we did just like 5 podcasts ago. We just started this. And I talked about how much work God has done. I like to say I needed so much sanctification. God made me a husband, a father, and a pastor.
No doubt.
Like, it's not that I'm better than people. I think I'm so much worse than everybody else. God's like, you need to be a pastor so I can break you down even more.
That's the triple express lane of sanctification.
Yeah.
Because now you know what a loser you are.
That's it.
Me too. Dude, I'm so selfish and terrible. I'm terrible.
Right.
Terrible.
I told somebody the other day, I said, can you imagine me without Jesus?
Oh, Lord.
That's horrible. People barely like me with them.
Yeah, they make documentaries about people like me doing that stuff.
Yeah, so being a pastor has been good.
But it's an amazing amount of accountability when you're going to stand up and open God's word.
Totally.
And say the things, you know. And I would say the only reason I would say that I'm not a hypocrite is because I confess my hypocrisy, you know.
Yeah.
And so, dude, I'm on the struggle bus with everybody else.
Absolutely.
Now, you know, there are qualifications of a pastor and elder, and I pay very close attention to that. I'm not saying, well, even there, man, I can quarrel with the best of them, you know. So there's some things in that list I got to watch, dude. I've got to, and I need help.
Yeah.
And not just me and Jesus' help. I need the Spirit of God in me. I need brothers of Christ around me. I need other pastor brothers. That is important too. One of the things that you and I benefit from. And I think other guys think that only big churches have this opportunity, but me and you are a part of a group. It's about, 10 or 12 pastors.
Yeah, they're phenomenal dudes.
They're incredible, man. Everybody pastors, big churches, and we get together a few times a year. I think the group text is as important as the group itself.
Yeah.
But any pastor in America could get in a group like that.
Yeah, I agree
Just
with you.
find 6 other guys and just say, hey, man, you want to get together?
Right.
And here's why they don't. It's going to cost a little bit of money. It's going to cost you a little bit of time. But it's not like, every single one of us have to lean into that thing.
Totally.
And it's like a bike, man. We get out of it what we put into it.
Totally. I see it on my calendar sometimes. I'm sure you're more than me like this, and some of the other guys more than me, but I see it coming. I'm like, man, I barely have time to get there, but I don't miss it.
No way.
Because I know what it's going to do for me and what it's built over time. Yeah, so we have our elders, and then I have these mentors outside of it. They're all 20 years older than me. Any of them could be one of our elders, but they meet with me. And I had lunch with one of them today, and our elders have access to them, and they have access to our elders. So if they're concerned about something with me, they can tell our elders can press into them. So I'm being watched pretty closely. Our financial things, I think it's really good. I can't spend a penny without somebody knowing. I don't set my own salary.
Same.
I think all those things are so important, man. So you love Jesus. You love the church. You love your local church. You love pastors. If you had to say one final thing, wrapping this up to guys out there who are listening, if you had like just 5 minutes, one word, pastors who are like, dude, I need something. I need something for myself. Like, I need like a little tattoo in my mind that it's always going to be there. I'm going to think this word for pastoring for the rest of my life. What would you say?
Just be faithful. In 100 years, what's going to matter? Fame or faithfulness?
That's right.
In 100 years, man, we'll all get to heaven, and you want to hear, well done, good and faithful servant. Not good and famous, not good and fruitful.
Yeah.
Not great. You wrote enough books, or you spoke on all. You're chasing, when you chase after those things, it's the silliest chase in the world.
Yeah.
Look, we do them all. You write books, we speak on stages. I'm happy to do it. It was never a goal of mine.
Yeah.
Part of the reason I do it is because I've never tried to.
Yeah.
And so the Lord, I feel like the Lord opened the door, invited me up into it, and so I could say yes to it, as opposed to some kind of selfish ambition or vain conceit, like I was trying to get there.
I hear you.
The myth of there in ministry is from the devil, man.
Hey, do we have time for me to press into that a little bit? No, Trey, do we have a little time before y'all go? Man, can we press into that for a second?
Please.
I know I said when I said, but
no.
I think some guys are trying to get there.
Sure.
And they think, if I'll speak at this thing. I struggled with it for years too, and God had to break it in me. And actually, He broke it, and then we started to grow.
Right.
I mean, I was in obscurity until I just didn't want that anymore. But I mean, yeah, so many people would say you're there, right? I mean, because they're trying to get there.
Yeah.
But anybody who's there, I'm there, you're there. But anybody who gets there realizes there's no real there. It's
no there.
Visible end of the rainbow. How do you help that settle that in the souls of people who are trying to get there? That's tough.
Well, there's two ways to learn. Proverbs is going to teach you. You got one or two ways to figure this out. It's either other people's wisdom or your experience.
Yeah.
So you're going to figure it out one way or the other.
I agree with you.
You can either hear some older guys that have been there and say, all right, I'm going to ask, I'm going to try to believe this and read the Bible and ask the Spirit of God to give me a peace that transcends understanding.
Yeah.
Or go for it, see what happens. You're going to be a miserable human being. Dude, I just had breakfast with pastor, probably the largest church, Craig O'Shell.
Yeah.
I had breakfast with him last week, and I was asking all kind of questions, And bro, he's there. Mm-hmm. He's as angsty as me and you.
Cool.
His church is 3 or 4 times the size of my church, and it's the good kind of angst.
Yeah.
He's secure in his relationship with Christ, and he loves his wife, and he loves his local church. I mean, that good kind of gospel ambition is still there. And so, I mean, maybe just believe the same thing that you try to preach to your church on the weekends. When you're trying to preach to all those people, be like, vacation's not going to do it for you. Just insert all the things that you are yelling at your people about and see if you believe, are you smoking what you're selling?
That's good.
Do you really believe that Christ is enough? I mean, think about it. Whatever. I do think we should have gospel ambition to tear off the roof, to reach one more, to do whatever it takes, to equip people to have the good God gospel conversations, to come to Christ. Bro, if you spend any time with me, you will know I'm all about that.
Yeah.
And then simultaneously, if the Lord allowed you to disciple the people that are right in front of you right now for the rest of your life, you're the luckiest man on the planet.
Totally. Yeah.
There's some brothers right now hiding out in the bottom of a basement in China with half of the book of Jude about to do a Bible study,
Totally, yeah.
and they're pumped to do it.
Totally.
And if they get found out, they're going to die.
Yeah.
And you're mad? Because you didn't get invited to a conference.
Yeah.
I mean, you got to have a little kingdom perspective, man.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, this stuff's become dysmorphic for us. I mean, in our safe American
Totally.
Christianity, which I'm really tired of, So, no, I think for me, I had to learn to love whoever was in front of me. And I need to love my city enough to stay. I do find it a privilege to be a pastor of a local church.
Me too.
I feel like it's the greatest, other than being a husband to Brooke,
Same.
parent to my kids, it's the greatest privilege on the planet. And I want to be faithful to it. And I pray to God that I am. I've literally asked God to kill me before, I'm not. I mean, if I die next week, maybe that was a precursor for something.
But I mean, you're way more entrepreneurial than I am. I am not. All I want to do is Pastoral 1122 till I die.
Yeah.
That's all I want to do.
Yeah.
All the extras. I was in a meeting with a guy, a very influential pastor, about 20 years older than me, and he looked at me, it's probably 10 years ago, and he's like, you better start tithing your time to the kingdom. So he told me. That's the only reason I do the conference stuff and all of that, because he was like, it's your turn.
Yeah, that's good.
He said, you learned all the stuff you learned at my conferences.
Yeah, nice.
Now, if you don't get in the game,
Yeah.
how are the 20-year-olds going to learn? So I was like, yes, sir. And I enjoy it, man. I enjoy being around pastors. If there's anything I could do to help or pour into or just learn from all my mistakes, because there's so many, I'm happy to do that. But that does not scratch my itch. Traveling and getting on a stage, that ain't it, man. I just want to shepherd the Church of 1122 until Jesus takes me home. That's it.
I mean, that's the best thing in the world. And those are the kind of pastors I like being around. And I think you could sniff out guys who are like, I'm trying to use the church to get to that stage.
That's a sick thing, man.
I can like it. I don't like it. You can smell it. But I think there are some guys who love the local church, and God has opened up some doors. And that's what I was saying before, man. You're one of those guys. It's encouraging for me, and I'm grateful that you're doing it. Anything you wish you would have talked about, want to say, want to ask, want to be done? If not, I'll wrap it up. But
No, you're a great leader.
Well,
You are, dude. I'm telling you, everybody I meet, I'm like, dude, Jason Shepard's he's playing a different game, and I love it. Don't change that.
Thanks.
There's plenty of people kind of doing the same thing, and you're not. I mean, in the way you're doing church, the way you lead, the way you think. I've been in a bunch of rooms with a lot of smart people, the way you challenge it. Just don't ever believe the whisper of the enemy to shut up. Yeah. Nah, man, you got a big voice in the kingdom. Don't put on Saul's armor. It's not going to work for you.
Yeah.
Just be who God's created you to be. I love it, dude. That's why I drove over here. I'm supposed to be at the airport right now. I drove over here in the freezing to see your place, hang out with you a little bit. Any chance I get to be around you, I feel like I get better. I need it. We need it. We need it. There's a bunch of big churches with good preachers. Neat.
Yeah.
But, dude, you think about a lot of things differently, purely, biblically. Don't let the enemy shut you up. Yeah, we need your voice.
Saying that, man.
Of course.
That means a lot to me, and I would say that is my struggle. I mean, it's just so what we're doing, same gospel, same scriptures. That's why we're friends. Preach unapologetically. I love people like that. But we're doing our approach to church so different. It feels sometimes lonely, and I even have to wrestle with questioning that, because I'm like, thankfully I haven't.
Yeah.
But words like that help me keep doing it. Thank you. That means a lot.
No doubt.
Thanks for spending time with me. You're a good dude. I love you, man.
Love you too,
Pleasure,
buddy.
my friend, dude.
You know it.
All right, safe flight. See you
Peace.
later. Don't fly up. Don't turn the plane over upside down. All right, see y'all later.
Yeah.
Thanks for spending time with us today on the Rethink and Return podcast. Here's all we ask from you. Will you subscribe to this, share this, let other people know about it? That'll help us get the message out. Share this content with other people if it's helpful to you. We're grateful for you. See you soon.